Are you having trouble making tank tracks because you're an idiot?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is your tank breaking down with every small turn you do?
Oh shit, a turn.
If you answered both of my questions with yes, then this video might come in handy just for you. In this video I will show you 4 tank tracks that are easy to do, that won't break and you won't have to use any mod. You can use those to learn or have a quick way of building tank tracks. Let me show you them. First tank track. The easy but shitty looking tank track. This tank track is pretty easy to make. However, it is not the best one if you do big tanks or durable tanks. Step 1. Build your chassis. The first step of building a mighty tank is building the chassis. This will help you orientate yourself on where you need to build your tank tracks. So here's a pretty easy track I did. It's nothing special, okay? But what's important here that you make some space for the pistons. And where you can find that is right here, the piston. Delete one and just add them somewhere wherever you want them. You can also do them here, but since there's a block here, you would have to delete that. But we are not gonna do that because that's not the best option to do on the chassis. Step 2. Make your wheels and program them right. Since tanks don't have any steering like a car has, we need to program the wheels as our steering. What you want to look at here is that you kind of make, or if you want them, you could keep some space here, because if you press H, they will go out like that. And let's say you have a one wheel here, okay? It won't look very nice, but you can do that if you wish. I'm not gonna do that because it looks ugly, in my opinion, but if you want to, you can do whatever you want. Now you have to program everything. To make things easier, I will go to the pistons and put toggle mode on, because that kind of helps. Like if you drive, right, you don't have to press it forever. I can just press it once and it will stay like that, and if I don't need it, I will just press it again and it will go back in. Easy. Now you want to program the wheels, and how you do that is simply just add, always on forwards because you won't need them on the reverse. Add here left, because let's say this way is how you go front, and if you want to go left, I'm sorry, right. If you want to go right, okay, then this wheel has to spin. This one doesn't have to spin, or it will have to spin slower, or it will have to go backwards if you want to go to the right, okay? And the same technique we will do on the right side, but this time we go to the left, because if, like here, if you want to go to the left, then this part has to spin faster. Okay, just to test it out, let's see if it's working. Forward, left, right, and then if I press the backup button on my keyboard and press right on it, it will spin like, I don't know how it's called. Step 3. Make the tracks. Now, all you have to do is doing the tracks. I recommend you to use the hinges, since they work pretty well as tank tracks. Be sure to turn on advanced building and change some settings in these two thingies I forgot the name about. When you want to do the hinges, you need double of the amount of the wheels, because that's how big the how shall I say it, distances between the hinges. Take these hinges, place them here, like that, so you can start. And the important thing here is that you put them in the right direction. Now, the right direction for a hinge will be this way right now. Let me show you. This way. Why is that? It's because when your wheel spins, let me get a plate. When your wheel spins, okay, and your hinge is at this point, the hinge will kind of act like a hook on the ground, which will kind of make the tank faster and better at climbing. But if it's on this side and the hinge goes this way, right, and it's here, it won't act like a hook. It will only act like a hook if you go backwards. So it's not an important thing, but it's better if you do it. Another thing I saw is that, let's say this part, this whole part is in the right direction, but this part isn't, so it looks this direction. If you drive with it, you'll kind of always go more to the left here, because these will act, these will go faster because of the hook effect, and here there's no hook effect, so they will go normal speed. So it will always go a little bit to the left, and you have to press more to the right, always, just to keep it straight, but it will never go straight. It will be annoying if you climb something, because then you won't go up as fast, or you won't go up at all, because it's just it distracts the whole thing. Okay, so don't do it this way if your wheel goes here. Always make the tiny part to the direction your tank must go forward. Another thing you should watch out while making the hinges is that your hinge won't stay like this, okay? Because it's not so good if you put plates on it. Let me give you an example. Like, here I can put them, and I can still put them here. I can put them here too, but look at this. I can put them here. There's the plate here is blocking it to put it here, okay? It will also give you some performance issues in case you want to know. Yeah, so just keep look out for that. Don't do it, and if there's no way to you know, to just try to play with it so it always looks down, so you can always put a plate here, one here, and one here, you know. And here we go. Your tracks are done. However, we have to do blockage so it won't fall off. Let me show you what I mean by that. When you press H, there's tension, okay? Everything is fine. Your tank isn't breaking down yet. But however, if you, let's say we go forward, and as you can see, the tracks are coming off. You can see that more when you go to different directions with the wheel. If you want to turn, let me put tension on those tracks so you can see that. Okay, now let's stop, and you can see the sides are a little bit off, and if you want to go forward or backwards with it, at some point you'll lose complete control over your tank. Okay, so how do we make it so the tracks won't fall off? There are some ways to keep the tracks on the wheels, but I mean you could be creative and try it with metal plates somehow or stuff like that, but for me, I like to keep it simple, okay? What I basically do is, so it doesn't fall into the inside, I put some blocks close to the wheels. You can also do them here if you wish, like this. It will make the tank more stable, like that. Make it on every part where you think the wheels might come off, like that. Easy. Okay, that should be enough. Now, first problem solved. Now the other one. It can fall out now. How do you fix that? Again, you can be creative with that. I mean, you could try to, you know, do this kind of stuff where you have a plate, but I tried it, I couldn't make it, so I'm gonna stay away from that. What I do is I take an unpowered wheel, one that is bigger than the inside one, and it won't come off. I'm gonna do one here as well because I think it's gonna be a weak point there, so there we go, like that. Easy. Now when you drive, you will see that the tracks stay where they are. The reason why it isn't so turning so well is because the wheels aren't spinning fast, obviously, and because there is too much tension on the chains. As you can see, it kind of makes a how's it called, bow, right? So you can see that these pistons go a bit to the side. There's too much tension in them. One way to reduce it, make the pistons less, you know, strong, less powerful, the other way is to add 1 or 2 more hinges to make more space. Okay, alright, now your first tank track is completed, and here you go, the first easy to do tank tracks that have good performance. Don't like the looks of them? Fear not, the next tracks will be about the looks. Second tank track, the good looking but slow as fuck tank track. This tank track is not a good one for performance. It is not so good at climbing, it has no suspension unless you make one, and it is pretty slow at turning. Sometimes it doesn't work very well. The only pro here is it looks great and you don't need any pistons for it. Step 1. Make the chassis. Just like the first tank track, we have to do a chassis so we can orientate ourselves much better. Okay, so here's the basic chassis you can do for the second tank track. If you're afraid that these parts are a bit too weak since there is no connection point, you can always add these braces here. They won't bother the wheels later, okay? Also, what you want to do is to build a wall here, because that's also a part of the chassis. Just make a basic wall here. Step 2. Make the wheels and program them. When you add the wheels on the second tank track, be sure to make try to make as little space as possible. So build your tank based on the space of the wheels you will have. If it's too big, then your tank might have problems driving. Maybe you noticed by now that we don't use any pistons for this one, mainly because you won't need it. Okay, now program them. This one takes much longer to program because you have the double of the amount of wheels. So Step 3. Make the tracks. This step is the same one as before. Use the same tips, watch out in which direction the hinges have to look, and don't make too many hinges. Since you won't have any tension, try to make as little space from the wheels, or else it won't work as good. What's important here is you're not allowed to make a lot of space in the hinges. What do I mean by that? Like, see how I'm trying to make it as perfect as I can. Like, there shouldn't be any space between from the hinges to the wheels. Why? Because there's no tension. If there's no tension, then the chain will be loose, and you don't want it to be too loose, or else it won't drive as well or look as nice. Okay, now if you want to do some plates so the tracks look much better, okay, then you can't use these, like these small metal plates. Why? Because then you can see the side and it'll look ugly, in my opinion. So what do you do so people can't see the sides? Okay, you can't use that, but you can use this kind of stuff. See? So it covers the side. But I don't like my tracks to be wood, because I want the metal. So I'll use this metal plate. Now if you'll notice, it's not fully over the edge. I'm gonna show you a trick you can do. Okay, just select them and put them half to the chain and half over the edge, and then it'll look nice. This doesn't change any of the performance or stuff like that. It'll just make your tank look wider, even if it's really thin in the inside, you know? So that's a cool way of making your tank look wider. You can use this technique on the other tank track as well, but I wouldn't recommend it, because that will make it ugly as well. I would leave it in the middle for the other tank track, so it looks nice. Okay. And like that, our tank is done. Now you should do it wider actually, but as you saw, I made it wider on a different tank. Yeah, you should probably make it wider. Alright, I forgot something. Where did it fall off? Okay. From here. Okay. Now, just like the other tank track, we need to do some blocking so the track cannot fall off. And the only blocking we have to do now is the inside, because the sides are completely safe. The tracks cannot get out of there. Okay, perfect. No, you can't. Now your tracks cannot fall off. There. Now you have tank tracks that look awesome. Still not pleased? You still want more? Well, alright then. The next one is about suspension. However, it's a little bit more complicated. Third tank track. The tank track that has great performance, however, is too big. Like the first tank track, this isn't about the looks, but the performance. The only difference is that this has proper suspension. Step 1. Make the chassis. Here, we can simply copy the chassis of the first tank and add some pistons and blocks underneath it. Okay, so the only difference in this chassis is that you add pistons underneath. It's like the first tank track, but you just have some springs. If you want, you can make them soft. So it acts more like a suspension, so it looks much better. Step 2. Add some wheels underneath it. Remove some of the wheels on top so you can add more underneath it. Make sure to keep at least one wheel on top so the tracks won't fall down. Normally you'll have enough space to put a wheel here, but it doesn't work here because there's not enough space. What you want to do then is just make the wheel a bit more to the top. Let's press H and... okay, that doesn't work as well. That means we need to make the springs more powerful again. Perfect. And now we can add a second layer of wheels. Alright. If you want to, you can make these a bit more close. I don't like that. Okay, there we go. Much better. Okay. Yeah. Connect the springs with each other. Only the front ones. So it works much better. If you leave them, then this spring will go up and this will stay down. If you want to do that, you can do that, but I don't like that. It's much better when both work, so the spring is a little bit stronger, you know? Step 3. Add the tracks. Just add the tracks like I thought you do it. Another thing I forgot to talk about, when you do this piston trick, right? So these pistons aren't connected, right? But if you will connect them with a brace or something like that, they wouldn't go out here, you know? Maybe you can remember when I did the first track and I put tension into them, okay? The chain acted like a bow, you know? This wasn't straight. I think maybe you can go back there and look how I connected these two parts on my own tracks, the ones that were already finished instead of the one I was doing for you. And here's the finished product. Now it feels a bit slower, but it works pretty well. It turns really well. I'm quite surprised that it does work. I was expecting it not to work that well, but it's quite well. Here we go. A tank that has real suspension and can go upstairs quite well. Just be dangerous that you won't break the wheels. So, I hope you learned something out of this video. Enjoy making mighty tanks for Mother Russia. Bye bye now. You're still here. The video is done. What do you want? Another tank track? Seriously? Fine, you asked for it. The last tank track. No tracks at all. Yes, you heard me right. Why not simply build a tank that doesn't have any tracks? It's simple, and the tracks will never break, because it has none. Step 1. Build the chassis. Just build a damn chassis. Step 2. Add the wheels. Just add some wheels. Step 3. Don't add any tracks, because you don't need any. There we go. Now you have a tank track that doesn't have any tracks. Isn't that just great? If you are interested how all these tracks do in performance, just click onto the video on this right corner or go to the first link in the description. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.